Hello guys, welcome back to the live, and today I'll be going over what happened yesterday. Obviously we had CPI. I'll be going over all of that, pretty much all into detail, and to get to you know why price actually went up. And then also we have retail sales today, which is at 3:30 East African time, and that's going to obviously have a large impact on the price. So yeah, just be aware of what's actually happening in the world at the moment. There is a lot of news this week, and that's why we're getting a lot of manipulation in the market. And I will be going over pretty much all the most important charts out there and what I'll be looking at as well. So if you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give it a like. So first up, I want to be going over this very important stat that was come out yesterday, the CPI data. So the CPI data came out at 6.4. The forecast was around about 6.2, right? So it was a bit over forecast. And we did get a lot of manipulation in the markets. I'll be looking at the dollar and I'll show you why. Looking at the dollar here, you can see that this was yesterday's candles at the time of CPI. Didn't really know what was happening, and then price actually came up, broke this level and came back down. So there wasn't much. The news didn't have as much of an effect as it should have, whereas the last CPI dates had a lot more effect to the market. And then obviously today we have the retail sales. Okay, so basically what this means is it's a change in total value of sales at the retail level. So it's estimated to be 1.9, right? And if the actual is greater than the forecast, so let's just say this was 2% or 2.5%, it is bullish for the dollar. Okay, so it would be bullish for the dollar, and that's would be bearish for crypto. But at the moment, we are currently just waiting, and I'll be going over the analysis now. So yeah, and also comments in the chat on which coins you want me to go over. I will be going over the major coins, and then I'll be taking suggestions as well as any questions that you guys have, where you can just post that in the channel. So yeah, let's get straight into the charting. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. I'm on the 4-hour chart here, and what's very important is we in this falling wedge, right? So this pattern is typically bullish, right? You can see the amount of times that we're getting a retest at these levels. Okay, and I've outlined the most important levels that we need to be watching here. Okay, so we need to be watching this 22,500 level, very important level. Why is it important? Well, let's take a look at the past. So we can see here, here, okay. So I'm pointing at all the possible times that Bitcoin has been in this 22,500 zone, and you can see this area is a very, very important zone that we need to watch out for. Okay, so I am currently bullish on the smaller time frames here, and what I'll be waiting for is obviously this trend line to break. So this very important trend line that we have here at the top here, once this breaks to the upside, well, then I'll be looking at potential longs, and we can go on the smaller time frames, and I'll show you why. So just look how important this zone is right here. Okay, so the amount of times that we've touched this zone at this level over here, this level over here, and this level, we have gotten a rejection. But at the moment we are starting to break this level. So once we get a candle to close above this 22,500 zone, well, then I'll be looking at for longs. And looking at this over here, I was in a position earlier for Bitcoin, and you can see that I did take profit at around about these zones here. But what I'll be looking at now is once we break this high at 22,300, I'll be looking at another potential long back up to the 22,500 zone, and that links up with the smaller time frames as well. So just be aware that we might see a bit of a rally within the next couple of minutes here, couple hours. But yeah, the higher time frames are looking very, very nice. You can see that we came down, we've retested this major zone. We came down, retested this over here, and now we're getting that push up. So I would expect Bitcoin to move up from here. Definitely back up to the 22,500 zone. And that's the zone that links up with the higher time frame analysis as well. So we have the higher time frame linking up here. So that is the next target for Bitcoin. So don't be aware that this can happen within the next couple of hours here. So for trades for me, I'm waiting for. So I obviously got this trade over here, but I'll be waiting for another potential long position above this point here. Okay, and I'll be targeting the 22,500 zone. And then I think that we get a big rejection off there, come down, and then we could surpass it within today. But yeah, just be aware, this is the current trade I am looking for Bitcoin. But what needs to happen? Well, I would need a candle to close bullish, right? So I want a candle to close bullish above this zone. So I'm going to highlight it right here. So this zone is 22,278. So once we close above this area, I'll be entering a long position back up to this zone at 22,500. Okay, and that links up with the higher time frame analysis that we got going here. And once we break past this 22,500 zone, we can definitely get to that 23,350. So just be aware of that. Things can move rapidly, and we do have retail sales there. Okay, like I said earlier, retail sales is also a very, very big event, and that's obviously going to affect the price of the cryptos today. So just be aware of that. I would not trade during that time. Any time after 3:30 to around about 4 p.m. I would not trade, and then also you should stop trading at around about 3:15, just to the fact that it's very risky. But Bitcoin looking very good here. I will be looking at a potential long setup back up to 22,500. And I do want to go over the dollar index here. This is very, very interesting. So just take a look at the dollar index here. This is very interesting here. So we have been, in this trend line for a long time, right? I'm going to highlight the zones here. Okay, so we've touched the trend line. Then we broke through it over here, came back, and now we're retesting the trend line. So if this retest is, obviously happens and it comes back down, well then I think, we could potentially get to that 25,000 mark very soon. So be aware of the dollar, and if the dollar breaches this trend line, then we have to look more on the bearish side for crypto. But as long as we stay below this trend line, I think Bitcoin should still long. So as long as we're below it, we are sitting in a very, very weird zone here. We have a little bit of resistance that we're currently sitting at now. Okay, so we're currently sitting at this resistance, and what this resistance shows us at 103.1729, we obviously are sitting at a zone that, once we break below here, we could see a potential rally back up for Bitcoin. So I'll be waiting for that. And yeah, I mean, we have retested this zone at 22,274. And then what I'll be waiting for is obviously a confirmation that we break that area. So once we break above 22,278, I'll be longing the market. Yeah, I want to go over the S&P 500 quickly just to show you, what I'm looking at here. So let's take a look at the S&P 500. Basically, it's correlated to Bitcoin. So whatever happens to the S&P 500, it tends to happen to Bitcoin. So I want to show you a very, very important chart here that has a lot to do with Bitcoin. So looking at the S&P 500, so what can we see? Well, we can see that, I'm just going to highlight these, make it a bit bigger. This trend line has been broken. So we're trading in this downward trend for a very, very long time. You can see that we're creating these lower highs, and lower highs. And what that means is, we're in a downtrend. And now we have actually just broken that to the upside. So this is on the daily charts. We broke it a while ago. but you can see that we broke it. We broke this high over here, broke this high over here, and we're retesting these levels. So what I'm saying is, for this, well, I'll be waiting for Bitcoin, for the S&P 500 to break above this 4191 level. And if it breaks above here, then I'll be looking at long positions for crypto. But if it breaks below this trend line over here, I'll be looking at potential short positions for Bitcoin. So yeah, so I'm looking for shorts below this trend line at, around about these areas. And then I'll be looking at longs above this trend line at this area here, okay? So I'll be looking for longs above 4191 and then shorts below 48.7. That's something I'll be looking at. So just keep in mind, this trend line is very important. And yeah, looking at Bitcoin, we are still waiting for that position to happen. But yeah, I will be waiting for a higher confirmation. But yeah, the S&P 500, as long as it remains above this trend line here, we are still bullish at the moment, right? So I am still currently just bullish on the smaller time frames. And yeah, so I want to go over APT here. Please put in the comments what charts you want to go over, if you want me to go over any of them. And yeah, so APT, I was speaking about this level yesterday in the Telegram group. And what I was saying is, we were currently sitting at this area over here. So none of this over here had happened. Okay. And what basically I said was, once we break this trend line here, we should get a move back up to this support area. And that's exactly what we got. So what I'll be waiting for APT, for more longs, we're going to have to break this high over here. Okay. So once we break this high, I'll be looking at longs back up to 18, but it's a bit ambitious, but it could potentially fill that range, right? 100% can. It is quite a big range. It's around about a 25% range, so be aware of this. But yeah, we have to wait for this candle to close bullish above the zone. Once we get a candle to close above the zone, well, then I'll be in long positions back up to 18.5. And I do think that could happen. And we just need to keep an eye out on the S&P 500, keep an eye out on Bitcoin price, and obviously the dollar index. But yeah, let's take a look at crypto bubbles, see what's happening. So basically, what this chart shows you over here, it gives you can change the date, right? So you can change it to 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, daily, weekly, 1 month, and 1 year. Okay. So you can see, let's take a look at the 5 minutes. You can see that it is more red at the moment. But what we want to be looking at is the 15 to the 1 hour, right? Because we're going to be trading that. So you can see that, there's not much happening. A few greens, a few reds. So we need to look at the 1 hour. And you can see that on the 1 hour, we are currently bullish on the 1 hour. Everything's pretty much in the green, so I'll be looking for longs most probably. And then on the daily, we are bullish. A lot of coins actually moved quite a bit yesterday. We have Matic 6%, we have Phantom 11%, STX that 11%, IMX 18%. So a lot of coins did have a nice move yesterday, and that's obviously why we got that run up. So yeah, if you guys want to check out this website, it's just called Crypto Bubbles. It basically just shows you, all the coins and their performance on what exchange you can trade it on, and all that nice stuff. Okay, I do want to go over this quickly before. Please, if you guys have any coins that you want me to go over, just put it in the comments. I will be going over any suggestions, any any questions that you guys may have. You guys can just shoot it in the description. In the chat box. So looking at this chart here, this is very interesting. Okay, I want you guys to pay close attention to this chart. So let's look at this chart. So 2012, we had a bull run to 2013, right? And then we had that minus 68%. Then after that, we had a move of 16x, and then we had that massive dump of 83%. And then from 2014 mid-year to around about 2017 mid-year, we had that massive move of 106%, 106x, sorry, and then we went down 84%, went up 4x, went down 64%, went up 13x, went down 54%, went up 2x, and now I believe that we might be in the accumulation stage, right? So I feel like this year we're gonna get a lot of people to come back into the crypto world, get their confidence back. Even looking at the fear and greed index right now. Let's take a look at the fear and greed index quickly. This is a very, very important indicator. So it shows you, what is happening. So we can see that everyone, last week people were greedy, because the market was going up. Yesterday we're neutral. Today we're still neutral. And as long as we stay in these neutral states, we will see a gradual climb within the year. Once we start heading back to the 20s and the 15s, like we were in the past, back in when was this? Jan the 9th, we were at 9, right? So that's when we were low, very low. So just keep that in mind, that if we stay above the 50s and the 40s, we will be in a steady pace towards the end of the year. So just keep that in mind. And with the dollar and also inflation dropping within the next couple of months, we will be looking at a bit of a accumulation year, right? And also next year we have the halving of Bitcoin, which affects the supply of how much Bitcoin is obviously mined in the industry, and that would obviously have a massive effect on the price, and that is next year around about March. So this year I see accumulation. How's it, Crystal? Nice to have you here. How's it to everyone actually that are here? Thank you for being here. Very, very glad that you guys are here today. Remember, you can comment of what coins you want me to go over. I've gone over a few coins, but if you want me to go over a few more, please put them in the comments and I will do so. Let's take a look at, a lot of people like to trade Solana. Let's take a look at Solana. Yeah, Solana, very interesting. I've been charting Solana, trading it quite a bit. Well, not really trading it, just looking at it technically and fundamentally. And I do believe that Solana obviously got caught in the whole FTX saga and them selling all their funds. But I do think that Solana has still got huge amount of potential within the next bull run. Okay, so be aware that Solana was, let's take a look at the weekly. I just want to show you how high this. Sorry about that. It keeps on cutting out. Yeah, sure. I'll go over Solana and Bitcoin, ETH, and ZIL, sure. So looking at Solana, where's Solana? Here we go. Yeah, so for Solana, I'm just waiting for this 22.35. Yeah. Once we break above there, I'll be looking at buys. And at the moment, this is our support that we currently have in the market at around about 21.54. And then our resistance is at 22.35. So until we actually break this level over here, I'll be looking at potential moves back up to 23. So something like this would be ideal. It's around about a 3% gain. And with retail sales coming out today, if it's bearish for the dollar, well then we could definitely get that move to the upside. So Solana, I'll be waiting for that 22.35. I'll be waiting for a 1 hour candle closure above that zone. Once we get a 1 hour candle to close above 22.35, I'll be in long positions back up to 23. Okay. Bitcoin, I went over Bitcoin earlier. Let me go over it again. So Bitcoin on the 4 hour, we in this massive falling wedge. Okay, been touching this line multiple times. This trend line has been acting as a support for the last couple of days here, actually the last month or two, and the resistance, this downward sloping resistance, has been respected. So this falling wedge is typically quite bullish, so I would expect prices to start to move up from here if we break that zone. Once we break this falling wedge pattern, well then I'll be looking at more longs to the upside, and this is what I was looking at over here, right? So we have a higher time frame. We are currently bullish. Once we break this trend line, we would have a confirmed breakout to the upside. And to confirm that, we need to close above 22,500 in order for us to remain bullish, because this could still potentially just be a fake out to the upside. So be aware of that. I do think that we will reach 22,500 today, at least, because of the fact that we are bullish on the higher time frames and the lower time frames here. So looking at Bitcoin on the smaller time frame, on the 15 and the 5, I'm waiting for that candle to close above this zone here. So once we get a candle to close above 22,278, I'll be entering a new long position back up to 22,500. Okay, that is what I'll be doing. I'll be waiting for a 15-minute candle to close here, and it looks like we might get that. So be aware of this position that we are currently looking at. We have to wait for the candle to close above this zone. If we don't get a candle to close above there, well then it could just reject from that zone and come back down, right? So that's why we wait for a candle to close above or below certain zones. But yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum quickly. So Ethereum, very similar. I'll be looking at bars above 1562. Okay, Ethereum is very, very different in a way, because we have this whole imbalance at this area here. So I could see Ethereum just coming back and climbing back up to 1614 within today. So be aware of that. I'll be looking at bars above 1562.56 on a 15 closure, on a 15-minute candle closure. Once we get that, I'll be looking at bars above back up to 1613. Remember, this is quite ambitious. It is around about a 3% play, so I would be taking profits on the way up. Okay, so looking at Ethereum here, we have to close above here, right? So a candle has to close above this zone here in order for us to take a long position. I'm not going to go long right now because it looks bullish. Well, I have to wait because what can happen here is price can just come back up here, and then come back down to this trend line. So I'll be waiting for a bullish candle closure above this zone, and then looking at the long position back up to 1614, right? 1613. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for Ethereum. I'll be going over these again just now. So I've gone over Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Solana. Someone said, Jared, nice to have you here, Jared. Let's take a look at ZIL. I don't think I've analyzed ZIL as of yet. Yeah, I don't think I have. Let's take a look at ZIL though. Okay. Yeah, ZIL's looking very, very nice here. I actually just want to draw this out. I can just see that we in this. Let's take a look at this. Okay, we've got a little trend line forming here. Okay, we are currently just in this ascending channel here. So this is looking like a bear flag to me. Typically a bear flag. I mean a bull flag. Sorry. It's looking very, very strong at the moment. So what I would suggest for this, for ZIL, I mean, it's looking very, very strong. We've been creating these higher highs and higher lows, which is typically bullish, obviously. So we are creating these higher highs and higher lows in the market, identified like this, right? So you can see that this low over here is higher than this low and higher than this low, and this is higher than this low. Same with the highs, which means we bullish, right? Okay, so when we bullish, what happens is we're looking for longs. Okay, so we know that we're bullish, we're looking for longs. Let's take a look at the 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame, looking very choppy. I'm not gonna lie, this coin looks like it moves a lot. So what I would suggest when trading this coin, you would use a smaller leverage and and yeah, obviously manage your risk, because it looks like it moves quite a lot here. Let's take a look at the percentage drop over here, around about a 10% drop within 3 hours. So just be aware of that. Let's take a look at the 1 hour, though. We can see that price is currently just trading within this range here. So yeah, okay. So this is our resistance right now, okay? We have a resistance at around about this level. Let me just extend this to the left and right. So we have a resistance at the 0.02976 zone, okay? I feel once we break this zone on the 1 hour, I'll be looking at potential longs for ZIL back up to levels such as this zone over here and this level over here. So these would be the TPs, right? So I would actually make them dash lines just so we can identify. So that would be our TP1, right? And then our TP2. Okay, so I'll be looking at something like that for ZIL. But we have to get that 1 hour closure above the zone. And until then, yeah, you can't really do much here. But Bitcoin and ETH and the dollar are looking towards being a bit bullish for crypto. So this is around about an 8% play, which is very, very high. So just keep in mind, you want to be taking profits on the way up. So yeah, that's ZIL. You know, we in this bullish uptrend when looking at the 4 hour, looking very nice. And I could see ZIL actually exploding back up to these highs over here on the higher time frame. Looking very, very strong. So yeah, ZIL looking very, very good for a move up on the higher time frame as well. But on the lower time frame, still looking good for bars above this zone here, 0.029. So be aware of this. Put this on your chart. It's around about an 8% play. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Sure. Yeah, so Litecoin's been trading very, very well. So these are my zones that I've drawn previously. You can see that this zone over here, I would want to put it up a bit more here, right? So this zone over here at 94.66 is our support zone within this box, okay? So this range at the moment is a range that we don't want to be trading in, okay? You can see that Litecoin loves to trade between levels. So when looking at this, we have a level right over here at 94.66, and then we have a level at 97.44, okay? So these levels are telling us that, well, if price comes up and respects this zone, it's most likely going to come back down. But when price breaks above the zone, well, what tends to happen? Well, we tend to move up, okay? What happens when we break above the zone? Well, over here, we moved up, okay? So every time we break above the zone, we move up to the next area, right? And then you can see whenever we break below the zone, we move down to other zones. So whenever we're below this area that we're currently trying to break, we will be looking at potential, long positions, because once we break above here, the next zone to look at is this 100 area, okay? Let me just take these areas at the top off. So that's currently what I'm looking at for Litecoin here. Litecoin looking good for potential move to the upside. And what I'll be looking at here for Litecoin is taking profit at around about 100, the 100 zone. But yeah, it's looking quite strong here. So we're going to wait for that 1 hour candle closure. I just want to take a look at the 30, see what's happening on the 30 minutes. 30 minute, we could wait for a 30-minute candle closure as well. Once we get that, we will be in long positions to back to 100.559. So yeah, I've gone through quite a few charts here. If you guys want me to go over any more, just put them in the comments. Yeah, there's So the whole reason for this live today is obviously, we are currently bullish. I would say we are currently bullish, but we have massive news today. Same as yesterday, we had news, CPI news, inflation news, big news, market got affected. Same thing. We have retail sales, big news, red folder news. Whenever it's red, means that it's big news. That affects the price of crypto. And whatever happens to the dollar, well, the inverse will happen to crypto. So be aware of the news today at 3:30. I would suggest just watching how it plays out. I would not be trading the news at all. But yeah, just be aware of the news. Yeah, at the moment I'll be going over the trade that I'm looking at. So APT, I'm looking at this trade. It's more of a long-term trade. It's a high time frame, 4-hour trade. So it will be 1 to 2 days. Looking at bars above 14.760. Once we break above this zone, LTC be looking at bars above 97.44. Solana looking at bars above 22.35, back up to 23. Dollars looking like it's going to come back down here, which is obviously bullish. Bitcoin, we waiting for that 22,500 zone to hit. Yeah, you can see this is what I was been waiting for here. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin here. So looking at Bitcoin here on the 15-minute, what can you see? Well, I can see we have a resistance. Okay, we have a resistance at 22,278, and what that means is price is getting stuck at that zone and is struggling to break past it. Okay, and normally when price struggles to break past a level, it tends to reverse. Okay, so whenever price tends to reverse, price comes down. But whenever price breaks above the zone, let's just say we break above this area 22,278, well, I'll be looking at longs, because it would basically clear out all this liquidity that is sitting at the top of these zones. And the next area to look at is definitely the 22,500 zone. So be aware of that. That can definitely happen within the next couple minutes here. Okay, so those are the trades I'm currently looking at. And yeah, the Bitcoin one is most likely to happen within the next couple of minutes here. But yeah, make sure you guys put these levels in your charts, just so you have them. And if you want to trade them, because some of them, like APT, where's APT here, is going to take a bit longer to actually happen. Litecoin also, and Solana. The only coin that is currently showing that move right now would be Bitcoin. So I'll be looking at this, definitely looking at a trade back up to 22,500. But yeah, is there any other questions you want me to go over, or are related to news at all? You want me to explain how it affects? I did explain that in the beginning, so if you want to go back to that, you can find that in the beginning of the video. I explained what impact it has on crypto prices, as well as the effect on the market as a whole. But I will be waiting for this trade at the moment for Bitcoin. There's not much else happening. We do have the other trades that we are waiting for, and just make sure you put them on your chart. But yeah, let's take a look at this. We got 9 minutes until the 15-minute closes. Yeah, looking at crypto bubbles again, showing some nice. Let's take a look at the 15. Yeah, you can see that a lot of coins are starting to pop up here now. Let's take a look at the 5. I think the 5 will be quite good. Yeah, the 5 is looking very good. Looking good for longs. but we have to wait for a candle to close above this area. And until we get a candle to close on there, above that zone at 22,278, well then I'm only waiting for that, because there's no reason for me to jump into this trade now and get rejected off the zone. I want this candle to close above this area for me to take the long. And I do think that once we hit the zone, we're going to sell off quite hard. Otherwise, we're probably just going to break it like completely. But yeah, I mean, we're just currently waiting. Not much you can do when you're waiting for a trade, right? You're waiting for the confirmations to happen. You're waiting for your trading plan to obviously to work out. So let's take a look here at Bitcoin on the 4-hour here. This is interesting, very interesting. Okay, so this is very interesting. This is also another reason why we are bullish, right? We have a line, a level at 22,232. Okay, and this level is our support. Okay, our resistance. And what this level tells us is that we are struggling to break the zone. Okay, and that's why I believe that if we close above here in 22 minutes here, we are most likely going to come back up to the 25,000. Definitely. So yeah, I'm bullish, very bullish at the moment. On the smaller time frames, right? And also on the 4-hour. We are bullish on the 4-hour. Dollar is starting to lose some steam here. Bitcoin showing some strength here. So Bitcoin really wants to break above here, and that's why we're looking for longs. Hi there, David. Dylan, hello. What guides you in putting those regions of trade and no trade? I'm not too sure if I understand that, but are you my guidelines for the reason why I take trades is we have to get a candle to close bullish above this zone, okay? And once we get a candle to close bullish, then we can look at those longs. But until then, we can't be looking at longs now, because what can happen is price can just reject off the zone and come back down. But once we break above the zone over here, then we can look at the longs back up to 22,500. So to answer your question, if I think I got it, we have to wait for a candle to close above this area. So this zone over here at 22,278. Once we close bullish above here, then we'll be looking at 22,500. So you can see that price is starting to come up here, right? But there's our move. Yeah, came way shorter than expected. So we got that move very, very quickly there. So I was waiting for a closure above this zone, and it looks like price has just completely gone up there. So wait, looking. So you guys missed that. My screen went off there. You can see over here that price already came up to this area. So yeah, obviously now the 5 did close bullish. So we're gonna have to wait for this 15 to close. So once this 15 closes, we'll be looking at trades. But yeah, we did get that move up. Litecoin's looking, everything's just moving extremely. Yeah, so 25,000 actually just got hit. So that's what I was waiting for, right? So the 25k mark got hit. APT, obviously XRP, Litecoin doing very well here. Looking at this Litecoin long, potentially. So Bitcoin's doing very, very well here. And it actually hit that to the T. So yeah, this trade would have been a beautiful trade if we got that closure above that zone. So that was the idea behind the trade, and you can see that the idea was very was successful, right? Because once we closed above here, we came straight up to tap that area, right? And that was the whole idea behind the trade. Looking at Solana, Litecoin's looking quite good here. We're waiting for that 15 closure, right? I just want to make sure that we are waiting for that. So yeah, we're waiting for that 15 closure. Around about here, I would say. Okay. Yeah, so we're waiting for that. But yeah, Bitcoin came up very nicely there. It was just a lot of volume came in there. Not too sure where it came from, the volume, but you can see once we broke this level, it was a clean breakout to the upside. So yeah, I mean Ethereum, we were waiting for this. We got that closure above here, so this could potentially be a nice move to the upside here, back up to 1613. But yeah, I've gone through all the coins there. We had that potential trade that we could have taken, but it just didn't close above the right zone. But it was, the idea was there, and we're still bullish. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate everyone being here. And thank you for joining today. I hope you guys learned a lot in the beginning of the session where I spoke about the most important fundamentals for today and how it affects the price. So if you haven't yet seen that, please make sure you watch the beginning of the video where I do explain it. But yeah, thanks for being here, and see you guys on Friday.